right, guys. So this is our second UFC video put out. Last week, we got our first one out there. It was a lot of work, a lot of learning experience. But how'd you feel about it, Siraj?
We're really happy to be organized and ready to go a couple days earlier. To be honest with you, since we recorded that last one, I've been really excited about getting this one done.
Yeah, just looking forward to this one now.
Yeah, like we just have such good, time to get picked.
So how'd you think about that card, UFC 253?
I mean, from a betting perspective, I'm glad we pounded Adesanya. We knew that was the route to go, and I'm glad it went that way. Could you imagine going the opposite way? I just couldn't.
Oh my god.
And I mean, there's a lot of people that did.
Go against a gut instinct. Yeah,
I don't understand. Like, it's just, for me, I'm so happy he won. And as a fighter, even
dominated.
Like, remember I told you to watch his post-fight press conference. Like, this is a guy, let alone from the fighting, this is a champion that I want to see succeed. I want to see him carry the sport. This is a guy that I want representing a sport I've loved for almost 10, 15, 20 years. I'm really excited about that part of it. So I'm pretty pumped to just see that.
And it was so interesting as, like a casual fan to see his tactics throughout there. Like, dude, Costa's leg looked like it had gangrene on it.
I know.
My parents are watching and they're like, "Oh, did he go for cupping?" And I'm like, "No, these are constant kicks that are making this guy's leg look like he has gangrene."
Yeah, he did really well in terms of tactics and stuff like that. And to be honest, Costa had no answer. He had no answer. Even if he was trying to save energy in the first round, he had to go crazy in the second. And obviously, he had no response for anything Adesanya had. Adesanya was 20 steps ahead, and frankly, we saw the result of that.
Yeah, and he didn't start protecting his leg until midway through the second round, at which point you've opened yourself up to headshots,
Yeah, to be honest, he had no offense, so his entire game is to push ahead, and he just couldn't do it because Adesanya was always a step ahead in terms of footwork and everything.
Long, man.
It's the footwork. I think if you even consider the way you have to step into your punches, Adesanya was legitimately a few steps ahead of him, so he was not going to get cracked. He never was. He was going to get more tired as the fight went on. It looked like he had zero chance. And hype does a lot of things to a fight, and that's what made that so good.
So overall, it was a great card. It was very enjoyable. I loved it.
100%. I loved it too. I mean, to be honest,
our Canadian boy came through.
Hakeem Dawoudou. Don't forget, you got to talk to my boy about going to a hockey game.
Yeah, I'm waiting, man. Where's my Flames game at?
Yeah, let's send him this clip right now. We'll send him the previous one. We'll send him this. We'll keep bombarding him. Hey, till you guys get to go to a Flames game next season, we're gonna keep bombarding Hakeem Dawoudou. Even if he's not fighting, let's just keep bombarding him and see what happens.
Funny story. You can cut this out after if you want, but Sadik downstairs went to high school with him.
No way.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, I watched your video yesterday. Yo, Hakeem's my boy." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yo, I went to school with him. We actually hung out not too long ago." I'm like,
"What?" Okay, so we need to get crazy. This needs we'll get that out there for sure. So looking ahead, I mean, this next card, for amount of work that we've put into it already, I think that's what makes it exciting for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so this is UFC Fight Night coming up this Saturday. It's in Abu Dhabi again, right?
Yeah, Fight Island.
Cool. So, I mean, let's just jump into it.
100%.
We got this. We got our boy Super Mario's brother Luigi here fighting Jessen. Luigi's the boy, right, that we bet last time?
No. So what happened was we bet on this guy, Elizeu Zaleski. So this guy was also fighting on Fight Island against a guy by the name of Muslim Salikov. Now, if you watch this fight, anybody, I dare you to go watch this fight and come back and tell me that our boy Zaleski didn't win this fight. Now, to be honest with you,
where'd we go wrong?
Let's be honest. Who bets against a guy named Muslim in Abu Dhabi? I mean, leave it to a Hindu and a Muslim guy to make kind of a decision like that, and till the victor goes to spoils, and Abu Dhabi Vegas just took it all.
We needed to read between the lines on that one. That 100%. Was just punting away money.
Yeah, for sure. I can't even believe that. I felt like I needed to, even ask for forgiveness for myself. I just for the dumbness, just this sheer dumbness. In any case.
So how are you feeling about this one?
Well, to be honest, I like Ayari through and through. Justin Ayari, I've seen him fight. It's been a while. He's 1-2 in the UFC. Stevie Ray until via decision. Those are big fights for him. He moved to lightweight against Ray, and I think to have the time to just get used to a newer weight class and get your kind of ducks in a row for that, because to be honest, 170 to 155 is kind of a huge jump from a speed perspective. He's got
that's what I was going to ask you, even when I was kind of looking up the fight, is that why is Luigi so much heavier than this man?
Well,
and that's because he's moving up classes?
Well, to be honest with you, it's kind of the other way around, because this is currently scheduled as a 155 fight, which means they're both going to have to come in and weigh in at 155 for lightweight.
Oh, okay.
So regardless,
I saw Luigi's weight at 170, and
that's because like what you're probably looking at is like a Tapology site or something like that. It's going to have like the normal weight that these guys might fight at. But if the UFC is going to call them up, be like, hey, I need a lightweight fight, or I need a lightweight fighter to come in and step in for this fight, or are you willing to take on this guy at this weight? It's either planned or it's short notice. So in this case, I feel like Justin got a fight that he can probably handle, because he did this right? Like, he's been at welterweight before, and so I'm quite excited to see what he's able to do in terms of just stepping back in there and getting his feet wet, because like I said, fought tough guys, but just hasn't been in there in a while.
And so what kind of odds are you looking for here?
Oof. To be honest with you, if Justin Ayari isn't between -200 and -300, I'd be a little surprised here, if not higher.
Yo, bro, he's the underdog.
No way.
He's the underdog.
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty much a pick, but yeah, -105.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna have to look into that further. From what I've already looked at, I think that's a pick for us. I'm quite excited about that, because based on my notes that I sent you, I don't think we see a reason not to take this, but I think Luigi Vendramini is probably going to lose this fight. Like, let's see though.
Stay tuned for that one. We'll get it posted as soon as we lock it in. Let's move on to the next one. We got Case Keenum here versus the Mongolian Knight.
Yeah, so after stepping away from football, just kidding, Casey Kenney, I'm actually a big fan. This idiot is a casual. You know how they go. So I like Casey Kenney. He's been around, way more experienced. He fought Merab Devlishi, if you remember him from a very Longo camp. We actually saw him fight in the Apex, and to be honest with you, he looks phenomenal. So when you tell me that that's his only UFC loss, and he's beaten guys like Ray Borg and also Brandon Royval. If you remember, Brandon Royval is the guy that just beat my son up.
Man, the mall cop beat up your son, man.
Yeah, my son got beat up, but you know what? He's still one of my soft corner guys, Kai Kara friends. Mucho love. I think it's better. A cute little boy. He's been looking at kicks all over Vegas before he dips back home. Back at the gym, Performance Center. These guys are already training again. There's a clip of him. You seen that clip of Israel and his team?
No.
Yeah, they're already training, and Kevin Lee's like in the sauna, like not the sauna, but like the whirlpool area with them.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my god, these guys like Adesanya already back, like sitting in the real bar, sitting in the bar.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so
That's
good.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like I hope other guys can feed off of that, but again, fighters are fighters. So big ups to Brandon Royval for taking that fight and proving that this guy deserves to be in the top 10 for that weight class. They don't have many contenders. He's very unique for that weight class, and I think that's why he got the best of Tim Elliott, because he gave a bit of his own medicine, and I really like him actually moving forward. So we're gonna keep an eye out for him,
And so how are you feeling about this one?
I think without question, Case Kenney has to be a massive favorite here. Let's say -400 without question.
It's close, -300.
Cool. Let's move on. I mean, if we find a bit that we like in there, look out for the pick. But at the same time, those are things where you want to find value. I do believe he's going to win this fight without question. Now, if I can get a good parlay with Casey Kenney at -200, then I'll probably take that. But right now, we're going to have to revisit that and see what we can get. Maybe we can get in the -200s as the fight moves on. But I don't know if Alatang is going to get that much action.
Yeah, so what do we got up next here?
So we got a women's strawweight fight. So we know how you feel about the women's fights, and frankly, we know why he feels that way based on how the last female fight went for us. But moving on. So this fight, we got Loma Luke Bunmi versus Jinyu Frey. Yes. Let's hear you say that name.
Look behind me.
Loma Luke Bunmi.
Loma Luke Bunmi.
There you go. So her actual name is Konkiak Sufisara, but she changed her name to that. So it is more of a given name by herself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so she's smaller, she's younger, she's faster. We've actually seen Jinyu Frey fight. If you really want to analyze her as a fighter, she's kind of that like over the hill, previous champion in a lower, journeyman type of fighter. And to be honest, like she's the kind of girl that I'm really happy is getting the opportunity to fight in the UFC right now. We saw her lose to a really highly touted prospect in Kay Hansen, who's a great wrestler and ended up getting the third round armbar. So she lost by submission in the last fight. To be honest, she can last, but I think that it works in our favor in this fight because, to be honest, I think our girl Loma is just going to absolutely maul her, and she has the technical skill to maul and avoid at the same time. I would be shocked to see if Frey's striking really comes into play here, because I think it's just going to be one of those like pressured situations for on a regular basis, and so we need to be able to handle it. Now, will the finish happen? Things like that, we're not really sure. Like, let's look at more tape, and you can look at maybe some of the weigh-in highlights and stuff like that, face-offs, just see maybe if we can really pinpoint something. But to take Loma maybe on points just seems like a really good bet here. I'm going to see finishing ability, to be honest, but at the end of the day, from an odds perspective, I'm really hoping we get good odds on her, because I would love to take her straight up. I would absolutely love it.
So two things. First thing I noticed, there's a lot of good-looking girls on this card, man.
So I'm going to tell you right now, Jinyu Frey, that's the one you're talking about, right?
Obviously.
And it's because you looked at her Tapology picture, correct?
Yeah, phenomenal.
Can you just do me a quick Google image search for me? Just do a quick Google image search for me. Don't take too long. Just do a quick, and I'm not being mean. I am not saying anything mean at all. But like, at the end of the day, lighting, makeup, and photography and Photoshop can do a lot of things. And I just want to get your live,
Come on.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it can be very misleading in terms of what a person looks like. And I remember her from her last
This
fight.
is online dating to its finest.
Yeah, this could be an MTV Catfish episode, no doubt. But I'm trying to keep that opinion aside because, frankly, it's about the fighting. And if she wants to catfish, she can catfish. I'm just kidding.
So,
her coach is actually her significant other. So that's jokes aside. So they are together. Please forgive me on that one.
Moving on. The odds for this one. You said you were hoping, for some good odds on Look Behind Me. What would make you happy?
Just call her Loma. Why you gotta be rude about it? Fucking casuals, bro.
Says the guy who's catfishing.
Casuals.
Get out of here, man.
Fucking casuals. Yeah, I can be upset that that's her picture on Typology. Like, come on here. Like, you're a fighter. Like, I get it. But, at least she had a belt at the time. Like, good for her. For that picture, if there was no belt, I would be utterly like, that just, to me, is not fun at all. But, yeah, Loma's the pick here. Loma's the pick.
They're straight up, man. It's a pick.
Let's get it. That's a fight we might need to lay on before we see...
It moves.
Yeah, because, as we said, based on my conspiracy theories, like, as people get a little whiff of these highlight tapes and as the UFC starts, maybe even, I don't know if they'll have promos for this, prelim fight, but at the end of the day, people will start betting as they start to get a whiff of the difference in these fighters. At the end of the day, like, that's what I mean, right? Like, there's going to be a lot of experience on Frey's side.
And there's not a lot of tape on Loma, right? So
that's the thing. I've watched a couple of her full fights, and she looks great. And I, based on what I saw with Frey, I think when it comes to second, third round, if Loma can really keep the pressure up, I just don't see her being able to deal with that kind of a mauling, because Kay Hansen's very much a wrestler, and by the third round, she was just having her way with her, and it was over by that point. Like, you really can't come out of that. So that's what I mean, right? If you're telling me I can get him at a pick, then I don't have to worry about the finish and stuff like that. And I can just
there's great odds on us taking that.
I'll probably finish this recording and go place that right now, if I'm being honest.
There you go.
We'll see how that goes.
The next one we got on the docket is Jordan Williams versus a name that I'm not even going to attempt to say.
So we're going to go with Nasruddin Imavov.
Oh, he's a Nasruddin.
Yes, he is.
These are up my alley.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, based on the
never
Bollywood
seen it spelled
name,
like that, but
I know, but I thought based on a Bollywood name you would have got it, but you're right. Maybe a couple extra letters than what you're used to, I'd see.
Yep. So tell me a little bit about this one.
So I like Jordan Williams. We saw him fight on the Contender Series. This is the kind of kid that pushes forward. He kind of has like a rock'em sock'em vibe to him, but he connects and he's accurate. And to be honest with you, that's what I love, because that's what a power puncher takes. I like to see when they throw 6 punches and at least 4 of them are going for the chin. That's what we want to see.
Of course,
His head up, foot movement's pretty good for a guy who fights more of like that zombie style than more technical, And I think in this fight, it's not a good fight for him. I think Nasruddin has proven to have significant good defense and defensive striking. Like, he's a good counter puncher. Looking at his last fight, I watched it fully. I think he took his time. By the first round, you can see that he has a different pace, right? He's calm. He picks his shots really well.
So, yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's like they both have a similar style of pushing forward, but I think in this case, you have to kind of give the push to the technical striker, because if he's showing signs of good power that can, 12 of his punches landing over the course of one round, if he's still getting the finish in the first round, like that's a big deal to me. And the thing with Williams is he's going to keep pushing for that. He's going to keep going. So if he doesn't get it in the first, second round,
likely not going to.
Yeah, he's going to start punching a little bit tired. So he's fought twice in the Contender Series, and we saw that in the first fight. So the first time he fought in the Contender Series, he basically gassed a bit and just gave up really easy punches in the second, third rounds.
I remember that one.
Yeah, if he just moved out of the way a little bit or blocked it just a bit, use the energy.
Just had no energy, right?
Yeah, like to be honest, when you're using all your energy to just punch and not really keeping your hands up to avoid punches, that's going to show. So if you're starting to throw and just missing like crazy, and at the end of the day, all you could have really done is keep your hands up and just avoid some of these punches.
Now you've just wasted all your energy. Right?
Yeah, because like that's the whole thing, right? It gets hard to keep your hands up, especially if maybe you go through some submissions and stuff like that. It gets really hard by that point. So nothing against him in that way, but more so from a technical perspective. If this for any reason goes to a second and third round, I can only imagine what Nasruddin will look like compared to Williams. And so that's where I'm thinking, even if these guys don't finish, one of them finishes each other in the first round, we're definitely going to lean the technical striker way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that logic. I'd much rather go with the dude who can last versus the dude who comes out swinging, and if he doesn't hit, at the end of the day, he's either going to lose in decision or in the third round.
One way I was going to pitch it to you, and I'm pretty sure both of these can be found on YouTube. If you just watch the first round of both of their last fights, you can get a really good gauge of what I'm kind of explaining there. Because it's kind of obvious. Like, you can see how much Dustin is not sweating. He's not really breathing heavy. He's kind of moving around the cage really well and picking his shots really well. Whereas with Williams, it's like he's so accurate, so it doesn't look bad. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't get that first round finish, like we've seen what it can look like in the second and third rounds, and that's where it gets sloppy, especially defensively. So
what odds are you hoping for?
Yeah, so I'm hoping that we can get some Nasruddin juice here. I really am. I really, really am.
We can. He's a slight underdog. A little plus 125, 130 action.
No, if I'm being honest with you, man, I think that's a fight to lay. Like, Williams looked really good in his last fight, but to be honest, there could be hype there, right? First round knockout, looked very confident, was yelling at the top of his lungs. This is his dream. Like, his dream got him his contract. He likes to knock people out. Those are the people that everyone loves to bet on. And so at the end of the day, if a hella foreign name for some people is keeping them away from betting on them, and a Jordan Williams jumps out of them,
we'll take that value all day.
By all means, feed it to me.
Feed me. There you go. Next up is our Canadian boy. Who do we got here, Suraj?
Charles Jourdain versus Josh Culibao, who's actually from the Australian fighting scene. He's coming in after getting knocked out by Jalen Turner. We watched Jalen Turner fight fairly recently. He looked a little slow for the division. He's a technical striker, but doesn't pack a huge power punch, but he can definitely knock people out. But that's what makes me kind of lean against Josh Culibao a little bit. And to be honest, Charles Jourdain, we watched him fight. We saw him fight Andre Fili. We bet on him. To be honest, Fili's he's getting a lot better. I'm noticing his technical striking get improved significantly, taking a lot less shots. I was actually very impressed in that fight by both fighters. And so for him to take that loss is by no means a blemish on his record. And I think for him to be already fighting guys like that so early in his UFC career tells me that that's a guy that I'm really excited to keep an eye on. Like his last three fights were Des Green, Doo Ho Choi, and Andre Fili. Like, come on now, this guy beat Doo Ho Choi. That was one of the highest touted prospects out of Korea in the longest time. And, I was hoping that he would do a lot better, but you know what? Like, let's just see where his career goes now.
Yeah, for sure. So, question I have for you is, how do you vision this fight going, ending, that kind of stuff? Because it seems like you very much like it, and obviously towards our Canadian boy here.
Yeah, so for me, we know that Josh can get knocked out. To be honest with you, we've seen that. We know that he can. The only thing that scares me with Charles Jourdain is that when you're that good of a technical striker and you can land really easily, to be honest, you get into this mode of just like peppering your opponent, and that looks beautiful. But at the end of the day, are you landing me a finish? Maybe not.
To knock, yeah.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, if I'm getting significant juice on him winning on points, I'm probably sprinkling that given what I might get him as a win. To be honest with you though, if I look at this card, and this is not me trying to, really show any bias whatsoever, but I would say he's in the top 3 biggest favorites on the card. And you can tell me if I'm wrong.
top 30?
Top 3. Favorite top 3 favorites on this card.
Yo, we don't even have 30 fights to choose from.
Yeah.
But yes, I believe he's the biggest favorite I've seen. So that's why I'm wondering, okay, we can look at parlaying him with Kenney, or Casey, right? Two massive favorites, get some good odds on there. Or we can look at a finisher decision. There's great odds on the decision. It's plus 210 on the decision, you know?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, those are the kind of numbers I want to see. Can you just tell me what the finish is quickly? Do you have that up?
Yeah, it's minus 120.
For Charles to knock him out?
For our boy.
Interesting.
Air to knock him
you know what? Like, I think we just lay off of that if we want to parlay the straight up win shirt. But I think we're just gonna sprinkle the points. To be honest with you,
I think so too. Right? The decision.
Yeah, we'll take a look at Josh and see how he fights regularly. But to be honest with you,
that's the one that stands out. Yeah,
the way Jordan fights, like if he's not knocking out in the first round, if he's not finishing at that point, it's going to take a lot. Like, if you can take a punch for 3 rounds, then I'm happy to take the points. And so for us, like, even looking into fights prior to Jalen Turner, seeing how well Josh looks in the second and third rounds, he's the kind of guy that can, like, get out for being on the ground, you know, out of his guard. If he can stand up quickly, despite
give him a
being
chance
dead
to
tired.
finish.
Exactly. Like, we just need him to be able to last 3 rounds with him, and so that's something we're gonna have to look into. So we'll revisit that in our Friday show when we kind of touch base after the weigh-ins and the face-offs and stuff like that, and just see where we land with all these like other picks that are kind of like wishy-washy for us right now.
Yeah, for sure. So this next fight, I'm gonna let you have the floor because I know how much you love this man, but it's Mr. Carlos Condit.
Okay, so Carlos Condit is fighting Court McGee. Now, if for any diehard, Carlos Condit fan, this is a tough fight because if Court McGee is like, let me break this down for you, Zan. As much as I love Carlos Condit with all of my heart, I think a year's worth of wrestling gives me a chance to at least try and take this man down. I'm not saying I'm beating this man, but I might be able to take him down because that's what we're seeing. In terms of a game plan to go in and beat Carlos Condit, it is a proven fact that knowing your wrestling and getting in there and making him work to get back to his feet is the only way to do it. He has pretty good offense in terms of elbows and stuff like that, but he's not going for takedowns himself ever. And so like he really is just trying to pepper you with technical striking for a long time. And so anytime you get someone who thinks they can knock out Carlos Condit is then where you take some juice. In our favor, Court McGee in his last fight really went into the fight thinking that he's going to be able to outstrike this kid and lost.
So like you said, this guy's a vet. He's been around for time. What do you think the motivation will be in this fight?
To be honest, he hasn't fought for a long time. So the way I thought about it is like, even if it was for a paycheck, I mean, he could be trying to rectify a bit of that record. But if you look at his record right now, to be honest, of those, I think I want to say 13 losses. Am I accurate with that? 13 losses. 38. Of those 13 losses, to be honest, most of them are fairly recently against some top fighters. And so at the end of the day, for him, like I said, is he at a point where he's going to remaster his wrestling skills? Definitely not. And so all we can really hope for from a fan's perspective is that Court McGee is trying to, stand up and knock him out, and Carlos Condit will welcome that battle at any point. So to be honest with you, if I notice that Court McGee is not willing to wrestle this man, I'm live betting Carlos Condit heavily because I do not believe Court McGee has what it takes to technically strike Carlos Condit. There's zero chance of that happening. I'd probably retire from doing this if Court McGee is able to beat him on striking points. I would honestly tell you right now, I could not see that even at the age, even with those losses. Like, go through that list: Robbie Lawler, Damian Maia, Neil Magny, Alex Oliveira, Michael Chiesa, some of the best fighters in the world. I can't put any money against him in terms of striking, but like I said, that's a live bet if anything.
And so where do you think the odds land here?
Well, like I kind of even made that joke to you, right? Like, this guy's an absolute legend. So you brought up like his motivation to fight. Like, this guy's basically made $100K per fight for the last 10 years. So like, to be honest, when you're making that kind of paper per fight and you're like, hey Dana, it's kind of running out, my kids are getting older, like throw me in there. Throws him in there against Court McGee. So chance to win 100%. But if this guy wants to wrestle, let's see what Carlos Condit brings to the table.
It's pretty much a pick-up.
And I can see that, right? Because I kind of gave you the basis of where the argument would come from for both.
Yeah, I actually love that approach, right? Like, let's test the waters. If this if this goes to the ground right away, we know which side to lean.
Exactly.
The next one we got up is Booker T versus Duško
Todorović. And so Booker T, also known as Dequan Townsend, is an older journeyman fighter. He's not done that well in the UFC. As you can tell probably by my notes, I'm not very interested in this fight from a betting perspective or a watching perspective. I like the idea of a younger fighter like Duško trying to come in and maybe make a name for himself. In terms of like finishes and things like that, like this could go really either way. So I don't want to waste time on this fight. I just want to hear the odds.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I think the odds dictate exactly what you were saying here. Like Duško is a massive favorite. I think that it's gonna play out as one of those things that you just basically said, right? If someone does get knocked, like, you know, it could go either way. It's minus 325 right now.
Okay. Yeah. See, like, to be honest with you, I that doesn't even entice me a little bit. I bet the knockout's sitting at a minus one something. Probably the unders don't look that pretty.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's move on from that one. I don't think we're gonna touch that one.
Yeah.
So up next,
it doesn't look fun.
Yeah. So up next we got Kyler Phillips and Cameron Else. I know you like this one.
Yeah, so Cameron Else, he's fighting out of BMF Ranch with Donald Cerrone, Jackson Wink Kid. These are the guys that we grew up loving and respecting and watching bring up all these big fighters. So there's a lot of that storyline attached to him. You know, our other buddy Kyler Phillips here, we saw him on the Contender Series. We've seen what he can do. He's improving a lot. But I also think from a, experience perspective and from like both of them being from good camps, like this is a hard fought battle. And, as we were talking about it, like he's put himself in dangerous places against pretty, okay fighters. And so that's what kind of scares me, right? When you got a fighter who's getting tired and puts himself in places where he's making mistakes in the second and third rounds, a camp like Jackson Wink and a fighter like Cameron Else should be able to take advantage of those kinds of things. So looking at tape, like that's where I was kind of leaning. So if Else is anything below a minus 200, I say we're taking that at this point based on everything I've seen.
We'll save that for a second because this is definitely going to shock you. But there's definitely a lot of hype with this fight, it seems, right? Because it just seems to be moving up the card. Like, I don't think this was in the main card before, was it?
No, when I looked at it last night, it was actually below. So in my order of fights right now in my notes, it's actually way lower. So it definitely got bumped up.
All right, so yeah, it definitely seems like the hype is building. So, sorry, you said you were hoping to get Cameron Else anywhere lower than a minus 200,
correct,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how about a plus 335?
Wow. We're going to have to take a chance on that regardless. So on that fight, like, let's just move on from this fight. We're going to take a chance on that plus 325. That might not be a posted play, but if you want to hop on some of the picks that we make, that's probably going to be one. Let's move on.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Up next, we have another women's bantamweight. And men, this girl's pretty good looking too, I must say. Or is that another catfishing thing here?
Are we talking about Juliana Pena?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty. I mean, she's cute. Like, yeah,
she's a cutie, man.
It's so funny. Like, I'm not used to talking about like fighters like this, but I guess talking to somebody else about fighters.
You're not used to it. You love them all, man.
The women or the men? I think I like the men more than the women. Like, well, let's be real. Anyways, moving on. So Jermaine Randamie is like title challenger level. Lost to Amanda Nunes most recently. And to be honest with you, she's only lost to Amanda Nunes over the last 7-8 years. Above average grappling, but against Nunes, yeah, she couldn't.
Wait. Say that one more time.
Over the last 7-8 years, the only person she's lost to is Amanda Nunes twice.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
This is what I really want to talk about in this fight because Jermaine Randamie, I'm considering being a close enough favorite, if not being a pick'em. But Juliana Pena brings to the table what could affect Jermaine Randamie the most because she has the chin that can push forward. She's a really good wrestler and she seems heavy. You know what I mean by that? Like when you can stay on top of someone and regardless of the weight and stuff, like they're just really good at utilizing their body,
keeping it down.
Yeah, that's like the wrestling aspect, the jiu-jitsu aspect of things, and that's what she's really about. And to be honest with you, Amanda Nunes is the absolute goat of this sport when it comes to.
It seems like
Oh, without question. And so I've been saying that for a very long time, and now she's just been proving it because the amount of she's basically beaten the major contenders that are even on this card to fight her anyways if they win. So to be honest with you, this is all about just trying to get the division moving forward. But to be honest, everyone's gonna have to try and get through that line, and so it's going to be tough. But for me, in this fight, Juliana Pena, I'm really hoping she's a heavy underdog because if that's the case, then we're going to be laying on her because I like that wrestling aspect of things.
And I was going to say, like, just based on, my limited viewership, there's not a lot of girls that get knocked out, right? They often, in my opinion, especially in this weight class, they end up going the distance. So why wouldn't we take the person that, kind of has that?
Because Jermaine Randamie is the type of girl that has that striking. She has that ability. Like, she's definitely a well-respected striker. Yeah. And so that's where I'm hoping the odds show that. So what are they?
It's a pick.
That's beautiful. If it's a pick, then you know what? I'm definitely leaning Juliana Pena, if I'm being completely honest, and I like that very heavily. Just her game plan. I think she's smart like that, and the way she'd go into this fight, I just don't know how good Germaine de Randamie's grappling will be versus this girl's wrestling. Yeah, I don't see it. And we can also look into the point.
And I would rather take advantage there on the ground for sure.
Exactly, especially in a girl fight, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
When you look at it.
All right, so the only thing we got left here now is our co-main events. So let's start with one that I know you weren't very interested in anyway.
Yeah, so again, we got a heavy... Yeah, like I really didn't want to cut you off there, but like I want to move on from it so quickly. But we got Jorgen Castro here and Carlos Felipe. Both of them very disappointing fights in their last ones. You know, the type, we got Jorgen Castro, who was like the quiet, silent type, looked really good against Fred Hardy in the first round, but then disappeared. It was a cartoon to me. He was just doing a lot of these steps and like trying to I don't think he threw any punches at all. Like I can maybe go back and count them on my finger, but I don't even think he did. He was definitely avoiding as much as he could. And Carlos Felipe was doing a lot of talking. And to be honest with you, I just didn't like what I saw from him, and especially in the last fight. And I think if there was a decision to make, I think even the over in this, to be honest with you, like if these guys are really the type to just kind of get tired and sluggishly throw, and both of them have pretty good
chin. And then the punches are lazy at the end.
Yeah, because they're losing by decisions. They've never been knocked out. So if I really just get, excited to just bet on the co-main event, then I'll do that. But I'm surprised the other girl fight doesn't actually just move up, because that fight has all the makings. Yeah.
And man, the odds on an over 2.5 are nice, man.
Yeah, because we'll
definitely revisit that.
Yeah, because they're hoping for that first round knockout. And so to be honest with you, based on both of these guys and how they throw and stuff like that towards the end of the fight, I mean, if this goes past the first round, we might not even lose that much juice if it ends the first round and they have 2 more rounds to fight. Like if I'm getting that live line to go the distance at, minus 150 or higher, I'm taking it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
And so main event, we got Holm and Irene.
So Irene Aldana, story to tell you. So I actually might show you this clip just for the fun of it, but she actually knocked the shit out of Caitlin Vieira, and that's the girl that we bet against in the last card, who basically
Chase Young last week. Yeah.
She beat Chase Young last week. She beat Chase Young last week by decision, and she clipped the shit out of her. Just knocked her straight up. And
again, my parents were like, "Yo, what is this?"
Yeah, and so the big thing about that knockout was, to be honest with you, the technique was very scary for me, because at the time too, Caitlin was moving up the ranks. She was I'm pretty sure she was ranked number 2 at the time. Had she won that fight, she was next in line for a title shot. So to be honest with you, there was a lot riding on that fight for her, and that's why she was so broken at the end of it. But Irene Aldana brings a lot of good striking. She has been knocked out, but the chin that she showed against her, the perseverance, the ability to move forward, the footwork, it makes me scared for Holly Holm. And so that's why for me, I don't even know if I would touch this fight before, because I love Holly Holm's technique, but I hate how good Irene Aldana looked in that fight from a technique perspective, because she was quick. She was landing with accuracy. And to be honest, when Holly Holm fought someone like Amanda Nunes, when she was very frightened and scared, she looked terrible. She looked terrible.
Really?
That knockout is actually, I know for a fact that from a fighter perspective, nothing's embarrassing in this game because anything can happen. But from a fighter perspective, she almost looked like she was going to throw something, but got scared and kind of fumbled a little bit in that. And to be honest with you, Amanda Nunes just caught that, and she just took a kick right on the chin, and that was party done. And so that's where I just think, I think she won't make mistakes like that, because I don't think it's going to have as much riding on it, and that's going to make it a lot more calm for Holly Holm. But again, Irene Aldana brings a lot to the table, and she's got experience under her belt. She's got some youth on her side. I think this is a very tough fight to call right now. But in terms of juice, I would be leaning Irene Aldana right now. But last night when I finished these notes,
it's pretty much a pick 'em anyway. So
yeah. So to be honest with you, I went to bed thinking Holly Holm's winning this fight. So, check us out again Friday night. We're gonna really come together and figure out the final picks for all of these fights that we want to take publicly after we see the weigh-ins, after we see the face-offs. Those are really big parts for us, and so I think things like this are where we want to see how they size up to each other, how they look. If they're wearing shoes, we'll make sure we take a look. But other than that, I'm pretty excited to see those types of highlights coming out of this discussion, and let's hope that we make some money.
So yeah, just make sure you check us out on the Kaizen Instagram as well. That's where we'll be posting our final picks. unit size, anything else that you may need.
Subscribe to our channel. We got a playlist going for all of our MMA stuff. We're working on a lot of things right now. So we got a football show that's being in the works. And then we got our full podcast. It's not going to be fully sports related. So that's for everybody else out there that doesn't really like the stuff we're putting out right now. We got you covered. So let's just, stay tuned and stay excited. And we can't wait to make some money on these fights.
Good seeing you, brother.
You too, homie. Take care.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace out.